Hi, welcome to episode 17 of Talk About the Passion. I'm your host, Christian Campagna, and today I'm talking to my friend Buz McGrath from the band Unearth. Before I get to that, though, a couple of things. How are you doing? I put this episode together a while back, and I'm airing it 2 days after the Super Bowl. I don't know the outcome of the game, but I'm confident enough to congratulate the New England Patriots on their 6th Super Bowl win. That was just fucking amazing. And no, I'm kidding. It's February 5th, and they lost. Life goes on, and so does this intro. So I'm on social media. If you search for Talk About the Passion podcast, you should be able to find me there. Same goes for wherever you like to listen to your podcasts. You can find me there and subscribe if you like what you hear, and then you won't miss any new episodes. So then, let's get to today's episode. I've known Buz since the early 90s when his band was called Point 04, which eventually became Unearth. His stepbrother, Sean, is one of my closest friends for years, and as is his other brother, Ryan. The whole family are great people. So I was psyched to hang out with Buz for a bit and talk about music, and, we talked about how Unearth got together, the songwriting process, and then some crazy stories from tour, and, so we definitely go all over the place in this episode, and if you know Buz, he's a pretty hilarious guy with some amazing stories. And, so in the interest of keeping these intros shorter moving forward, let's get to the episode. Episode 17, Buz McGrath. Thanks again for listening, and enjoy. Thanks. So I'm here with my friend Buz McGrath. We're here in Beverly, Mass, hanging out with some adult beverages. And so where did you grow up? You grew up here on the North Shore.
Yes,
right?
Lynn, Massachusetts, born and raised.
Yeah.
Moved around a lot. When I was a kid, it was just me and my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I think she probably had me when she was like 20 years old.
Yeah.
Something ridiculous. She just wanted to party, you know.
Right.
And then this baby came along.
Yeah.
And my birth dad died when I was like probably 6 months old or something like that.
Okay.
So we moved around a lot, I think probably just because she didn't pay the rent. And I'm like, we got to go.
Right.
So, settled down on Bowler Street in Lynn.
Yep.
And that's where, I met Sean through Bob, my stepdad.
Yep.
And, just
Nice.
skated everywhere. That was about it.
Yeah. So how old were you when you started sort of getting into music?
I remember I always wanted to play guitar because I saw the Scorpions Rock You Like a Hurricane video.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I was like, I need to do whatever that is, you know?
Yeah.
And I was always into guitar. I always asked my parents for a guitar, and they were like, no, you don't need it. And I kind of kept hounding them.
Yeah.
And they never bought me one.
Yeah.
And I think I got into guitar through Sean.
Yeah.
And all his like heavy metal friends, because he was a few years older than me.
Right.
And they would always have guitars coming in and out of the house. And
Yeah.
so I was, into music, like metal and stuff, but never actually played until that was around me.
Right. And who were some of your first favorite guitar players?
Definitely. Who did I like first? I mean, going way back, I always liked Pete from Sick of It All. He was kind of a big influence when I first started playing. Yeah. Got the Epiphone SG. I was trying to do that.
Yeah.
And then when I got into death metal, definitely like Trevor Perez from Obituary. Mm. So that was kind of the early on. I was digging those type of things. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't anything that I was trying to study and learn. It was just like I was still just starting out playing guitar, just having fun with it, and other influences down the road. Ingve. I love just the madness of. I tried to name my cat Ingve Meowstein, but
what happened?
I think I got outvoted. There was a name. His name came with, or Bill Cosby. Yeah. But then there was all the raping going on. So
nice. Yeah, I knew a guy that had a bong called Wesley Pipe.
Perfect.
But I think you told me a story at one point. Trevor came up to you and was like, I love your band," or something like that. Was it Trevor?
The story goes with that was we had started a band. It was me and the early formation of what was Unearth.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Ken Susi and Mike Rudberg and Tony Gabuccio were in a band called .04.
Yeah.
And we made some member changes at a certain point. I think Ken went up to Trevor because Trevor was in another local band that we played with.
Yeah.
Second Division, I believe.
Yeah.
All these local band names are always hilarious.
Right.
And he's like, we need a singer.
Yeah.
And Trevor wasn't initially interested.
Right.
And then I think he tricked him into coming to a practice for what was supposed to be Ken's side project with Mike. But it was actually a band practice of Unearth.
Oh,
I don't even know if we had the name then.
Right.
But he kind of tricked him in, and we were playing some songs. Like, all right, you guys are pretty good.
Yeah.
That's how that worked out.
Nice.
And I think he was wearing Tevas with socks, unfortunately. So I was like, I don't know, this dude.
In .04, so people probably outside of the North Shore music scene that existed at some point.
Like 15 people might know what that is.
Probably don't know about a little place in Lynn that was called Sneakers that was booked by this guy, Doug Mascott.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. So he was a character and a half, and we like to talk about him because he was a wacky guy.
It was just a place. It was just a dingy bar where the guy, he was kind of just a local, kind of like he had like an AM radio station.
Yeah.
And just a nice guy who would try to help out bands, and he'd be like, "Yeah, you can have shows in this space. I'll give you 90% of the door." Like, all right. I think we charged like $2 or $3 to get in.
Right.
And we'd be able to pay all the bands. And we did a bunch of shows there. And the floor would just get beer spilled on it. And people would be slipping and sliding.
Yeah.
And there's always a fight.
Yeah.
I remember I had a VHS cassette tape of a show that we did there with the band No Choice, also from Lynn, Mass. A fight breaks out. All you just hear is girls screaming. People are getting maced.
Yeah.
But that's the type of shit that would happen when we would sell our own beer.
Yeah.
Jay Lombardi, who played guitar in early version of .04, he would sell beer from behind his amps, because half the people in there were underage, and he would undercut the bar by like $1. So everyone was pretty much trashed, and it was always you get the young energy, people fighting. It was fun though.
Yeah, it was mixed with like regulars that were going in there that were like, "What the fuck is this fucking music going on in here?" And but yeah, you guys played a lot there, and then
that was that door deal, man.
Yeah. And so the name Unearth came from Mike.
Yeah, Mike Rudberg came up with that. I was like, it doesn't make much sense, but it's one word.
Right.
It's chantable.
Yeah. And you guys, so when you started playing as Unearth, how long did it take until you guys ended up like getting signed and?
Maybe like a year or so. Mm-hmm. I remember wanting to quit at one, like 2 months in.
Yeah.
We were playing Safe and Sound in New Hampshire, Rochester, New Hampshire. I don't know if you've ever been there. Mm-hmm. It's kind of just like an art space type of place. Yep. And we played a show with a band called 7 Day Curse, which was, they were doing what we were trying to do at the time really well.
Right.
And I was like, they're awesome.
Yeah.
We're terrible. It's over. Forget it.
Right.
And I think, we kind of pushed through. I wasn't really going to quit, but I was scared that we weren't going to be able to do it,
Right.
So maybe like a year or so went by. The timeline is fuzzy to me.
Yeah.
Got picked up by a label out of Connecticut called Endless Fight, I believe was the name.
Yeah.
And that was cool. Like we had a demo cassette that they put they just pressed it onto a CD and then just kind of released it regionally.
Yeah.
But I think we started in 98, and I don't think we really got any significant traction until 2003 or even 2004.
Yeah. And that I feel like that part of metal in Massachusetts anyway, like Boston was kind of ignoring it. So you guys kind of had to go around that.
Timing was definitely right.
Yeah.
We put out the right record at the right time with kind of the right setup for it.
Right.
And I think people were hungry for something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because you had bands like, early Cave In with Beyond Hypothermia and what's the other one there? Their first two records are that one's
the Heartstorm.
That's the one, Overcast.
Yeah.
They were doing that before anybody, like years before anybody.
Yeah.
and that was the stuff that we were jocking.
Yeah.
And so they like had those bands come out maybe a little like around the time we did, they probably would have been much bigger,
right,
you know,
right.
or you know, Cave-In obviously went different route.
Did different stuff. Yeah. And did you guys find it hard to kind of identify as a Massachusetts band just because it seemed like people didn't?
Not really.
Yeah.
I think we weren't really. I think we always kind of thought ourselves more hardcore.
Yeah.
At the time,
right?
Because it was more of a mix. Our earlier stuff was, you know, we liked hardcore and we liked Iron Maiden.
Yeah, yeah.
So we were trying to do like the Maiden-ish kind of leads.
Definitely.
Over, we wanted to be like Blood for Blood meets Iron Maiden.
Yeah,
we wanted like metal and then people to punch each other like in the pit.
Yeah, yeah.
That was kind of the initial,
right,
you know, concept.
Yeah, nice. And do you remember a point when, like, this is actually going somewhere? Like you felt like.
Yeah,
it was actually real. Like,
it was definitely 2004. The start of 2004, we were about to put out a record, the Oncoming Storm record, which some argue was our best record.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that was the one that came out right at the perfect time,
Yeah.
and there was and then we got Ozfest that year.
Yeah.
And in March we had a tour with we opened up for Damage Plan, Hatebreed, and Drowning Pool.
Oh wow.
And that was when I quit my job. I was working for Lynn Public Schools.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was time to shit or get off the pot because I was taking like unpaid time off because it was getting really busy.
Right, right.
And so that was when I was like, okay, you know, this could do something. But even then, you know, it's like because everything was in place, like all these cool opportunities were there, and it's like if you don't blow it, I mean, you can turn it into something, you know, cool.
Yeah, and then did you start meeting some of these bigger musicians like Judas Priest or any of the Dio or the people like that? Did you start meeting people like that?
Yep, especially on that particular Ozfest 04.
Yeah.
Which featured the return of Rob Halford fronted Priest, which was sick.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
There was one night Ozzy was sick.
Yeah.
And Halford came out and did Sabbath.
Yeah, yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah, it was probably better.
So yeah, you know, I didn't really get to. You don't get to hang out with Rob Halford or Ozzy, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know, we got to meet a lot of people, and we had a manager at the time who was making moves for us, and I think we toured with Slayer maybe a year or two after that.
That's when I saw you guys up in Schenectady, I think.
That's I mean, that's what it is. It's like as soon as you get some heat on you, more opportunities open up because every other band that is like a headliner, they just sometimes you just don't care. You just want who's gonna help us sell tickets, and if your band's hot at the time, you'll get first pick of those.
Yeah. What was I remember? So we came up to see you with Slayer, you and Sean, your stepbrother, and I remember we all were backstage hanging out with you guys. I think it was maybe like 10 minutes before Slayer came on, and they were like, "All right, if you're not in Unearth, you got to leave." And you know, it was almost like, don't look anyone in Slayer in the eye. And but you got us on the stage, and we got to watch Slayer from the side of the stage. So that was probably one of my top 3 musical moments I've ever experienced.
One of their guitar techs, Warren, he's a great guy.
Yeah,
so I asked him ahead of time. I was like, I got some people. He's like, all right, you know where to stand.
Yeah,
Beginning of that tour,
yeah.
All the techs had cattle prods, like big yellow, like stun things.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was scared shitless, and like, yo, if you guys go over your set, we're gonna come out and stun you.
Yeah, I remember the guy was like, don't touch that like there was a cable on the floor. I'm not touching anything.
Yeah. Those dudes have been doing it for so long. They're just like they know they can see people coming, and they know like what's about to happen. Yeah, what pitfalls could be.
Yeah. So how was that tour with Slayer?
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Because it was just us and them.
Yeah.
Which was weird. Just a 2-band bill.
Yeah.
You know, you hear horror stories about bands getting booed off.
Right.
But we didn't go out there with like cool haircuts or some kind of wacky gimmick. Yeah. And it was just as soon as you hear it, it's metal. You know, and people are like, all right, well, even if they suck, we won't boo them.
Right.
We got booed once. It was only because our intro skipped. Was when we used to run intro from the front of house.
Yeah.
And he played it in a Discman.
Oh, geez.
And it started skipping. And that was like Sacramento was like 5,000 people just boo. Right. Like, oh shit.
And you ended up touring quite a bit. So you guys, you played in How many countries you think you've played in?
Any country that has electricity. I think.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, most European countries. We did the Balkans like a few years ago, like as in Serbia, Estonia. No, it wasn't Estonia. It was Macedonia, Greece.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we played everywhere. We did South Africa a couple years ago. That was cool.
Nice.
We do a lot of Asian territories like Indonesia, Malaysia. Yeah. We did a whole tour over there.
Yeah.
Cool places to go. I don't really need to go back to anywhere. You know, it's like just because you get the offer, like, yeah, you know what? I've never been there. Yeah. Let's go check it out.
Right.
Shows are good. But I'm tired of traveling.
Yeah, it's like, and there's probably a lot of time where you don't even really get to see anything because you're on a schedule.
You see the hotel room and then you go to the airport.
Yeah, and then the U.S. you've played. I remember you played Alaska.
Yeah, we've done Alaska like 3-4 times maybe.
Yeah. So every state pretty much. Nice.
Except I think the Dakotas we haven't done.
Really? Oh.
We did Wyoming. That was cool.
Yeah.
So there might be like 2 or 3 states we haven't done yet.
Yeah, nice.
But I'm in no hurry to do those. I don't need to have like I did every state.
Right.
Because that show might suck. Yeah. There might be like 10 people there.
Yeah. Do you have stories of like just where shit just went into the murky waters, into bad fucking places?
Trying to think. Those come out after. If I get like 2 or 3 more beers, that's when it comes out. Because I get questions like that all the time.
Right.
And it's like, I don't know, nothing ever happens. And then it's like, we be talking to somebody like, oh, this one time.
Right.
A girl did diarrhea in front of us in Albuquerque. That's a true story. That one just popped in my head. Because Albuquerque, we never do good there.
Yeah.
But you have to play it because it's on your way to get to the West Coast. Like you could have a day off.
Right.
Or you could hit Albuquerque.
Money. Right.
Nobody there really likes us.
Yeah.
A lot of bad things seem to happen to us there.
Yeah.
But there was one time we were standing outside of the venue after a particularly awful show.
Yeah.
And this girl in a white dress runs up, like, you know, you're in the alley by the dumpsters where you load into a dive bar to play.
Yeah.
And she just fires off like a massive giant. Just hauls off. She was in and out of there in under 10 seconds with this pristine log. Didn't even wipe, just clipped it off and then gone. Somebody said she was on acid. I don't know. It was a random person. But yeah, that's pretty much sums up Albuquerque for me.
Yeah. Nice. And so when's the last time you did like a big tour? It's been a while now.
We haven't toured the U.S. since, was it March of 2017?
Yeah.
I don't even know. It was October. Excuse me. October of 2016.
Yeah.
We did a tour of U.S. with Soilwork, great Swedish metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the last time we toured. I think we took most of this year off to write and just kind of go away for a little while.
Right.
You know, it's like the band goes through lots of ups and downs. You know, some like you jumped off in 2004. We rode that for a while, and then it kind of slowed down. And then you've seen a little bit of ups and downs here and there. It's like, you know what? Let's just pull back for a little while.
Yeah.
Write a great record, and then we're gonna go out this year.
Yeah.
We are confirmed for a popular summer festival tour whose name I cannot yet name because it's not announced.
Right. Nice.
So the setup for this record's already off to a great start. So I'm looking forward to being busy because this year we didn't do anything.
Right.
It's one of those things where it's like, while you're out there, I'm like, this is boring. I don't want to do this. And then I've been home for a while. I'm like, you know what?
You get the itch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you guys have started recording? Or
March, I'm told, is when we're going to start.
Yeah.
But we got probably 20 songs written, so no shortage of material, so that's good.
Yeah. And so the process when you record, do you write stuff and Ken write stuff? Or you
right now, what we do is me and Ken, on our own, we write stuff. We have drum programs.
Yeah.
So we just come up with songs. We get another guy helping us out. He used to play in a band called Acacia Strain. Mm-hmm. We bounce ideas off him because we just needed to get a third person into the mix, like riff-wise.
Right.
me and Kim were writing the same record for,
Right.
however many years.
Right.
So like, let's, get some other guys like stuff in here.
Right.
And that's been working out great.
Nice.
Just whenever I hear a fresh idea with our
Right.
stuff, I'm like,
Yeah.
that's scratching my itch right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Because my shit to me sounds the same over and over again.
Right.
You try to dig yourself out of that hole, and
Right.
sometimes you do, but a lot of times it's difficult. So
Yeah.
we come up with the songs on our own. I got Easy Drummer for the drum program.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever messed with it, but
No.
it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It comes with the beats are made. All you
Yeah.
do is like, you can make your own,
Yeah.
but it's easier just to get one and then
Right,
manipulate
right.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's all, your standard thrash beat
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
this swing
Right.
beat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can loop it in the program and then you drop the beat in. You're like, nope, don't like that one.
Right.
And you just keep going and
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
that works.
Nice.
So it's a great way to get stuff going
Right.
song-wise.
Yeah.
And then what I do is I send the song over to our drummer,
Yeah.
who also has a drum program, so that way he can get his ideas in there
Right.
for fills and
Yeah,
whatnot.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, stay close to the beat
Right.
unless you think you got something better. But I mean, as a cocky guitar player, it's
Yeah.
like nobody writes better drums than me, So
Right. Right. And so, what do you, if you get to a point where you feel like you can't come up with something creative? Do you have any like things you do to get out of that rut?
I try to listen to music.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't listen to as much music as I did,
Yeah.
when you're younger. Now I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
listen to podcasts.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I know. I go back to like classic rock or
Yeah.
the stuff I listened to when I was like between 13 and 16 or something.
Yeah.
And podcasts.
I try to just kind of go through, and sometimes I make notes of anytime I hear somebody mention something that's particularly good that came out, like the new Creator,
Yeah,
or the
yeah.
Creator
Oh,
that
yeah.
came out last year. I listened to that the other day.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, how can I steal some of these ideas without anyone noticing?
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But I'll have a day, like, because I work driving.
Yeah.
So I just drive around all day, listen to podcasts, which you do.
Yeah.
And then, so sometimes I'll actually force myself to listen to music. Like,
Yeah.
put on some music.
Right.
And then I put on music. I'm like, okay, yeah, I love music.
Right. So so then you would bring it to the band and you'll have sort of a complete.
Usually what I do is I just send it off in an email
Yeah.
to Trevor and Ken.
Yeah.
Because I just want to write stuff that they like.
Right,
I want
right.
them to be excited, you
Yeah,
know?
right.
And then Nick gets a hold of it. Our drummer is Nick.
Mm-hmm.
And then he throws his snazzy little fills.
Right.
And he overplays always. And it's like, dude, just make your life way easier. Don't do as many drum hits. You're not getting paid by the snare hit.
And you have your own signature guitars.
Yeah,
You've
that's
had for a
really
while.
cool.
Yeah.
Because that's like that's mailbox money.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, when you
yeah.
least expect it.
Yeah.
It's not a lot. I mean,
Right.
I drive a 2000 Ford Focus that I got for free, so I'm not, I'm not doing that well. But yeah, that was cool that they were like, yeah, design a guitar.
Yeah.
We'll mass produce it and sell it and give you a cut of the proceeds.
Nice.
That's like a dream come true,
Yeah,
like as a
yeah.
guitar player.
Yeah. And that's
And,
and you're 7 strings.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Yeah, ESP, they hooked it up, and they let me redesign it too, like a couple years ago, which
Yeah.
was nice because it was out for 3 years. It did pretty well,
Yeah.
and then make a new one.
Nice.
So it's basically the same one, but just kind of different
Yeah.
finish and fretboard.
Right. And you've done some like instructional stuff.
Did
too. Do you
one?
do that?
There was a company called Rock House.
Yeah.
Years ago, I think they were just kind of grabbing anybody that was in a hot band and like, we'll film it for you and like do all the stuff.
Right.
And it was cool. They paid me pretty well, but it was
Yeah.
like I got there and they had to make like some of the backing tracks.
Yeah.
In order to not pay the label, they had like their buddies like record it.
Re-record your stuff.
Yep,
Oh,
like the rhythm and the drums.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some of them were like, "Yo, this beat is janky, dude. What are you doing?"
Right.
But I mean, there's some cool stuff on that. Like, if you want to figure out like, some of the Unearth stuff that I was playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was a guy there who would tell me what it was that I was playing because I don't know any theory.
Right. Right.
So I'm like, this is just like this sweep arpeggio, and I'm
Right.
throwing my finger down and pushing this other string.
Right.
And the guy was like, oh, this is like a B minor arpeggio with this. I'm like, okay. And then I was like, I would say that. I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so you pretty much taught yourself.
Yeah.
guitar?
Yep. Just kind of picked it up and got Metallica and Justice for All tab book
Yeah.
and just went after it.
Yeah. Yeah. Those tab books were pretty
Yep.
badass.
Those are huge,
Yeah.
man.
And
And even in like Guitar World when they had the Like they'd have like a segment of a song.
Yeah, yeah.
I would learn like an Eric Clapton song just to learn something. I never even heard the song, and I would just play the notes, probably all wrong.
Yeah, I remember every issue of that. Like the front page, the front cover would have like 5 songs on the top. Those were the ones that were in there that you could learn. And
Yeah.
like
They still do those. There's a company called Sheet Happens, as in sheet music.
Yeah, yeah.
Guys from the band Protest the Hero from Canada.
Yeah.
Great players. And they started to get into the tab book business.
Yeah.
And we're friends with them. Like, hey, we'll make a tab book for you.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And what's great is like they make it all themselves. They figure it out, and and you get like a little USB thing with a bunch of information on it.
Mm-hmm.
But what's cool is like, here's the thing: is like, oh, we made a tab book for you. Can you proofread it?
Right.
Absolutely not.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
There's like songs, and they know that, you know,
Right,
and like there's songs here that I haven't played in like 10 years.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't even probably know what it is,
Right.
you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I've actually looked at their tab books to learn like shit that I wrote.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they have one for our last. They had one for the Oncoming Storm,
Yeah.
the one we talked about earlier, and our last record. The hell's the name of that? I don't remember the name of that last. No, hold on. Watchers of Rule.
There you go.
I almost went to the other room to grab the CD.
Look it up.
Like, can you edit out that 30 minutes of dead air while I look for a CD?
And I remember you telling us a story about someone from Obituary maybe coming up to you, and you recognized him, and you were like, "Oh,
Yes, that was James Murphy.
yeah,
He played lead guitar on the Cause of Death record,
Yeah, yeah.
which in high school, that was my Jesus.
yeah, that was the one."
I'd take the bus to school, listen to that, listen to it nonstop.
Yeah.
Wore the tape out. Got it from Sean Ross.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Sean. But yeah, the tape had no print on it. It was just blown out. And he came up to me, James Murphy. He's like, "Hey, you want to play on this, I don't know, tribute thing he was doing?"
Yeah.
He introduced himself. I'm like, wait, are you the James Murphy? I'm like, holy shit, you're like my favorite guitar player.
Right.
Whatever project he was working on,
Yeah.
kind of didn't really go through.
Didn't happen. Yeah.
But I was definitely flattered for sure.
Yeah. And did you experience many like rock star moments from any people who were just, I don't even have to name names or anything, but just people that were
Somebody being cunty.
attitudes from bigger people? Or?
There might be some, but typically you don't really run into that. People who make it far in that business
Yeah.
do so because like they're cool,
Yeah.
and a lot of times if you're an asshole, you're found out.
Yeah.
And nobody really wants anything to do
Right.
with you. There's definitely got to be. You know what happens a lot of times is the band's tour manager
Right.
can be a cunt.
Yeah.
Because you get somebody trying to do a good job for their band, and sometimes steps on other people
Yeah.
to get there.
Right.
There's always if you try to get in line at catering at
Right.
at some bigger shows, they'll feed you a hot meal.
Yeah.
And there'll be a guy like, nobody eats until like my band eats or
Right,
something,
right.
and you're
Yeah,
please, dude,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah. You're not gonna have this job. And
Yeah, a lot of times it's just the tour manager, just
Yeah.
kind of,
Right.
especially I love the old school tour managers.
Yeah.
There was one guy. We played a show with Mudvayne
Yeah.
in New Jersey. There was a promoter down there that was like, he was kind of booking hardcore stuff, and
Yeah.
I think he was trying to dip his toes, like get bigger shows. So he bought a Mudvayne show, and he's like, "Oh, he called us up to open for it." I'm like, "Yeah, sick." And we're talking to him backstage, and we're like, "Yo, thanks for having us." And this guy comes up, and he's doing the finger sandwich where you're like pounding a guy in the chest with your fingers, screaming about how the beverages were not iced down to artist satisfaction,
Jesus.
which I kind of get because I love cold beer.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was like, that dude's gnarly. Years later, we did a tour with Testament.
Yeah.
And we made good friends with their tour manager, and I was telling him this story, and he was like, "Yeah, that was me."
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, I was like, "Holy shit!" I was like, "Dude, we talk about that story all the time."
That's amazing. And you ended up becoming friends with Dimebag Darrell.
Yeah, that tour we did. in 2004 that I talked about earlier with Damage Plan.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was the nicest guy ever.
Yeah.
We it's like day one. I think even before the tour even started, there was like some sort of kickoff party or some promotional event that Trevor went to.
Right.
And they just got Trevor wasted to the point where he's just throwing up. Those guys were total pros.
Hardcore, yeah.
There was one night, it was at the Electric Factory in Philadelphia, and they always did their best to give us like a dressing room area or some sort of space.
Yeah, yeah.
Opening band, you don't usually get that. It's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
So we had this little closet, and I was walking by their dressing room like as they were about to go on, or their pregame, I guess.
Right.
And the door just opened, and somebody grabbed me by my collar and dragged me in the room, and then put 2 shots of Crown Royal in my hand, and I was in a kind of a group shot situation.
Yeah.
Threw them back, and they put a Coors Light in my hand and kicked me in the ass out back in the hallway. And I was like, "What the hell just happened?" Yeah, they were crazy. At the time we were gambling. CeeLo was a great way to pass time. We play for $1 or whatever. Right. Some bullshit. Yeah. And Dime Walk's always like, what are you guys doing? So we show him the game. It was like 5 of us. Yeah. And he gives everyone $100 bill to play with. He's like, this is bullshit. He gives everyone $100 bill. Yeah. And somebody beat him, and he tried to pay him back, and he's like, nah, I don't need it.
So he's that kind of guy.
Yeah, definitely. It was like he just for the party. Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite videos is the Pantera videos where I bought the DVD actually like 6 months ago.
Yeah. Did they put out like a new thing?
I'm not sure.
All right, I saw something, but I'll watch anything with those people partying.
Yeah.
Vinnie Paul, he's super nice too. Yeah. Run into him every once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, there was that guy. I think he ate the whole cake. What was that guy? Pat. They're one of their bodyguards.
Oh yeah, no, that's Big Val.
Big Val. Yeah.
He was Big Val was security on that 2004 Ozfest.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he would just drive around in a golf cart and tell people not to get naked.
Yeah. So when you found out about what happened with Daryl, that must have been
that was weird.
Yeah.
It was like the fact that somebody could just do that.
Right.
Could just walk up. Because, I mean, a lot of the shows you play are like, dingy clubs.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably do, it's weird that hasn't happened before.
Right. I remember thinking that.
But when you have somebody like who's a notoriously nice guy. Right. Everyone's kind of like some people are assholes, whatever. Right. You're like, that guy's probably a dick.
Right.
Nobody ever thought that Dimebag was like a dick. Nobody was like, he seems like he might be an asshole. You just see him and you're like, that's the coolest dude ever.
Right. So that must have been like as a band, did that make you guys nervous or just not nervous but
not really
cautious or
I don't know that we didn't really take any preventative measures, but somebody might do it to Ken, He's easy to hate, when he's like when you get a guy who just a confident, cocky guitar player, people love to hate it,
Right. And then sort of going way back is death metal. Do you remember sort of getting into that? That seemed to be like
dude, that was all like first I was into hardcore. Yeah. Was going to shows at the Channel. Yeah. I forget. I think I saw Iceman.
Oh yeah.
At the Edge.
Oh, the Iceman.
Yeah.
Or something. Yeah.
At the Edge, not the actual Channel, but
I remember the Edge.
Little offshoot.
Yeah, it was like behind that back alley. Or
yep. Something. Yeah, that was friends with Tony Gabuccio at the time. We grew up skating together. Yeah. And I think he was a couple years older, so he had a line on all that stuff. Yeah. And then as soon as I went to one of those things, I was like, oh, this is super cool. And then we would go into Boston every weekend and see whoever. I didn't even know who it was. Right. And that evolved, and then Sean, once he got out of his weird I don't know, goth phase or was it grunge came later. He was into some weird stuff for a minute, and then he was into like death metal. Yeah. And that was when I was like into hardcore, because back then it was like, long hairs and like hardcore people weren't really mixing.
Yeah.
But I would hear it, I'm like, that sounds sick. And
Yeah.
of course, Obituary Cause of Death was my
Right.
gateway to all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I dove head first and Gore Guts, Suffocation, and Napalm Death.
Yeah, all those cassettes. I
Yeah.
just remember, and I've worked at Rocket Records.
Oh yeah,
so
I remember going to Rocket Records.
And we had
You get the Concrete Street sampler.
The samplers, yeah.
The Cannibal Corpse was on there.
Yeah.
I remember just rewind that one.
Yeah, Carcass came up there for like an in-store at one point.
Nice.
And that was, I think it was lit. It was like the Heartwork.
Yeah.
That era.
I remember Heartwork, when that came out, I was so into like grindcore, and I was such a cunty grindcore snob that I didn't like Heartwork.
Yeah.
I was like, this is bullshit, sellout stuff. That's one of the greatest metal records of all time.
Yeah, I think I was sort of the same. I was kind of late to them, but that was...
Swan Song, though, I don't know. I've never listened to that one.
Yeah, I didn't give that one much time.
Maybe we were sleeping on it.
Yeah, if anyone knows, let us know. And so, do you remember what your first show was? Your first concert?
It might have been at the New World in Lynn.
Yeah.
I forget who was playing. No, I don't forget who was playing. It was Gangrene.
Yeah.
Somebody booked a concert at the New World in Lynn.
Yeah.
And it was like, who was there? Was the local metal band Submission? I don't know. I forget the name of. There was like a big Lynn metal band at the time.
Yeah.
Was it Submission? No.
Subjugator. That was. I think they were in Boston.
Who else was there? There was Grief.
Yeah.
I think they jammed in Lynn anyways. Disrupt. That's the one I'm thinking of.
Was it? Yeah.
Yep. I think it was Disrupt and Gangrene.
Yeah.
Was it even Gangrene? I don't know. I might be.
And way back, there was a band called Spike Raven.
Spike Raven. That's tight.
Who I'd never heard. But I just remember seeing there, like, when we would take the train to, like, Boston from Swampscott, you would drive through Lynn, and I remember there was always this Spike Raven graffiti on the wall, and that was, obviously before, it was like 1984, so...
That's all it took. No. That's all it took, though, to pique your interest back then. It was like a logo, like, what is that about?
Yeah, exactly. And that stuff was, you'd get immersed in that stuff, and death metal and stuff, and were you into, like, horror or, like, that kind of stuff? Or
not really.
Yeah, just music.
Yeah. I mean, I watched Freddy Krueger.
Do you ever try to play any other kinds of music?
I wish. Yeah. I did actually just learn Peg by Steely Dan.
Oh,
yeah. And my friend, his name's Ben Eller. He has a great web series on YouTube every week. He does Weekend Wank Shop, it's called.
Yeah.
And he shows you how to play.
Oh, really?
And he's like, he'll do metal songs or whatever.
Yeah.
And he put up Peg by Steely Dan. I was like, that's sick. I need to learn that. It's like had some like finger picking and like wacky chord changes, which is just completely foreign to me.
Right.
Because I just pick the guitar up and play as fast as I can.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you can use this other finger to do this, and then like, oh, you need a clean tone.
Right.
So I spent the whole day like learning those riffs.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's like I don't really have. I mean, I have time, but kind of the only thing that I'm really like any good at or passionate about is playing heavy metal. I'll fight through like writer's block and just keep plowing through because I know at the end something might happen.
Right. Nice. And when you guys formed, you also had it was you, Mike Rudberg, Tony.
That was .04 was the first band. Yeah, it was me, Rudberg. The first one was me, Rudberg, or there's other lineups, but it was kind of like just jamming stuff.
Yeah.
Me, Rudberg, Jay Lombardi, Mark Wysocki, and Tony.
Yeah.
That was the thug .04 lineup. I got a picture. Those dudes look gnarly.
Yeah.
We played those sneaker shows, like Jay and Mark would stop playing and fight people. So it would just be me and Mike and Tony. And they're like, where's the other guys go? Right. Oh, they're fighting someone.
Yeah, I think my old man Lugnut played with you guys.
The Nut.
We
did show it up at
Marblehead High School.
That was the very first show I ever played. Yeah.
Oh right. Oh yeah. I think you mentioned that.
We just played like in the parking lot.
Yeah. It was like behind the school.
Yep. And somebody was like, "Yeah, like do you guys need anything for the show? Like, you need any food? I'm like, I don't know. If you can get us some like Fruity Pebbles,
Right.
that'd be tight.
Did they bring 'em?
Yeah. It's like I should ask for something else.
And Chris Rybicki was in the band for.
Yeah, he was a member of Point oh Four at one point.
Yeah.
And then when we transitioned to Unearth, he was still in the band for a while.
Yeah.
What was great about him is when we first were doing Unearth, Rover was always just a crusty old guy, you know.
Yeah.
And we were like, what's wrong with this dude? Like, he's always like pissed off about something. But what ended up happening, or he'd be like, he'd just be drinking in the van.
Yeah.
And we'd be out like, dude, we're playing a show in Long Island. I can't believe it, you know? He'd just be in the van, like, I don't know, videotaping something or whatever.
Right.
And we slowly just turned into him.
Yeah.
And it was one time, it was like, I think it might have been like me and Trevor or somebody else just in the van complaining, like, dude, we literally turned into Rover. Like, I know. He was so ahead of him. He was so ahead of times.
Yeah. And he was another person that was just like the sweetest, the best fucking dude, the funniest guy, and
great bass player.
Yeah. I don't think I ever saw you guys with him.
Yeah.
And he sadly died, and that was
it was a bum out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you guys were on tour.
No, we were home. I think we were home actually.
Yeah, okay.
He got into an accident and then didn't make it out, unfortunately.
Yeah. And so Unearth is still going, and
by some miracle.
Yeah.
Looking forward to this year.
Yeah.
We got some cool stuff happening, so
Awesome.
it's fun. Yeah. We complain a lot about it.
Right.
But, you know, I think deep down we all love it because, like, me and Ken and Trevor are the original guys in it.
Yeah.
And we've been joking about breaking up for years.
Right.
But we keep showing up. Ken keeps showing up. He's the first guy who I think is just not going to show up.
Right.
But he's still there. I mean, he keeps coming up.
Good.
And Trevor's always die hard about everything.
Yeah.
And the new guys are great.
Yeah.
Our bass player, Chris, he's from England but lives in Dallas.
Okay.
And he's just the most positive dude.
Yeah.
Which you kind of need, even though we bust his balls about it like constantly.
Right. Yeah.
And Nick, he's coming over to, like, Nick, he lives in the Seattle area.
Yeah.
But he's kind of coming over to our side of negativity. Because we like to complain, like, get people to come down in your pit of sadness.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, as you get older, you get a little more cynical. And
very cynical and jaded.
Yeah. So it must be...
I offered to pay our bass player, Chris, to talk in an American accent. I was like, if you do it for the whole day, I'll give you $100.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't do it.
No. And I assume, too, when new people come to the band, I always think of, like, when Jason Newsted
you get a bus
joined
balls.
Metallica.
Yeah.
You always hear these horror stories how they just made him drink tons of alcohol and just busted the bus. So you guys do that kind of stuff with the younger...
I think when Nick joined, our drummer, he's been our drummer for maybe, I don't know, probably 6 years.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Right.
I don't think we ever gave him the business, although he might tell a different story.
Right.
But our bass player, Chris, we definitely... And he's a big, tall guy who could probably whip our asses.
Right.
But he's just super positive and always gets the kind of the backstage vibe going, because you sit around in the club like for a few hours, like, oh, this is lame.
Right.
But he always brings like a speaker,
Yeah.
puts on some music, cracks a beer, and tries to get it going.
Nice.
He's the classic bass player, like big bushy hair, tight jeans, big white sneakers.
Yeah.
Only problem is he's, hello, ma'am.
Does he wear the backwards hat?
No, he should though. That would be a tight accessory.
Yeah, like the backwards Kangol hat. Those style bass players. Well, that's cool. I'm glad to hear you guys are still.
Yeah, I don't think we don't know how to do anything else.
Yeah.
We're like a bad penny. We keep showing up.
Have you guys had issues like traveling overseas with like being?
Luckily, no. I'm gonna knock on wood.
Yeah.
We always try to go in clean. You know, you never try to lie about stuff.
Right.
Sometimes a promoter will be like, "Oh, if you're coming over, just..." It happened. I think the last time we were going to Indonesia.
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, just say you're doing this." I'm like, "Oh, I'm not gonna fly to a foreign country, make up a story."
Right. Yeah.
Hell no.
Right.
So we always try to go in clean.
Right.
Canada's cool. We used to always go to Canada a
Yeah.
ton because, you know, it's back in the day, and it still is a great market.
Right.
We would try to get over there. And speaking of Rover,
Yeah.
our first time up there, we did a show with 2 shows with the band One King Down. I don't know if you remember that great late 90s hardcore band. Yeah. So we're like, sick, that's going to be awesome because they were huge back then. So we get up to the border, and I think Rover had some sort of felony on his record or something, maybe like a DUI. I don't remember what it was. Mm-hmm. So they didn't let us in. Yeah. So I got that sucks. Right. So we even went to like another border, like coming nearby, and they're like, "What? Go with the other border. What are you guys doing here?" Yeah. Then we tried to go in again to do some shows, maybe a few months later. Yeah. And sure enough, you go in, they run your names. Oh, sorry, you can't get in. Yeah. So this time we dropped them off at the bus station in Buffalo. Yeah. And then we went and played the shows. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, we sent them home. And the shows were sick. Yeah. And they never stopped being sick. Right. And we used to like smuggle in CDs. Yeah. And you could fit almost 300 CDs in a Marshall cab, I think. Oh, yeah. So we would take the back off with the drill, stack it with CDs. Oh, nice. And pull it in. Because you used to have to claim merch. There was all this whole thing. But the laws have changed. I don't know what happened, but we started just doing it legit. Yeah. And it's been way easier. Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, you always hear of bands like all putting like 30 T-shirts on a piece. And it's so like less stressful.
Right, yeah, yeah.
Because it's already a stressful situation anyways. Like you just like in line, like I am under scrutiny. I'm going to be under scrutiny like here. Yeah. And the tactics they use is to make you feel like you've done something wrong, even when you didn't. Yeah, yeah. What's worse now is coming back in to the United States is really hard.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Those you just see the guy coming up. It's like he's just puffed up and just like look on his face like, all right, well, he's like, where's the weed, guys? Right. We don't have anything. We're not stupid. This is our livelihood. That we do this for work.
Yeah,
we're not gonna
80th fucking.
Yeah, we're not gonna fuck this up by someone getting pinched for some. Well, there was a guy crossed over in Sarnia. Yeah. It's like out in like Minnesota maybe. Right. Or some weird central U.S. border, and there was a guy, we called him Mr. Hands because he was short and he was just a cunt. Yeah. And it was one of these times we got dragged in, like searched individually. Right. As I'm a grown man. Right. It's like, come on here.
Right. Yeah. I know. It's at the point where you're like, I would be pissed if someone on the tour like was trying to sneak shit in. Yeah. At this point, you guys' career.
We got pulled over years ago. Was it 2011? We were doing the Mayhem Fest. Yeah. And we were driving to the D.C. show, Washington, D.C. or Arlington, wherever it was, outside of D.C. area, or Maryland, whatever the fuck it is down there. Get pulled over 8 a.m. for some reason. Right. So we were sharing a bus with the band Red Fang, and great dudes, by the way. Shout out to Red Fang. So everyone's sleeping, and all of a sudden, everybody up, state police, whatever. We're like, oh, what the fuck is this? People hung over, or people just went to bed like half an hour ago. Yeah. So I was just sitting on the highway, just a mess of like 10 men, just looking like hell. Right. So they're like, all right, we're going to search the bus for drugs. We're like, yeah, whatever. We don't have anything. Go ahead. Yeah. Have at it. Yeah. So now we have like kind of like one lane of the highway blocked. So traffic, it's a weekday. Right. That area of the country is not too good for traffic. Oh, yeah. Traffic starts backing up. So they bring a dog. Yeah. And the dog's sniffing around. And the dog hits on the side door of the trailer. Yeah. Because like the big back ramp door and the side door. Yeah, yeah. And the side door had a lock on it that nobody had a key to. Yeah. The trailer came with the bus, and the driver was like, I don't even know. I don't have the key for that. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So you could open the back, but it's stacked with gear. You can't get to there. So like, oh, we got to get in there. Yeah. So they call up the fire department to come cut the lock. So now there's another lane of traffic blocked with a fucking fire engine to cut a lock, and they couldn't even cut it. Right. And we ended up letting us go, but it was like, it sounds like really, you guys just. And I remember the whoever the head cop was. Right. He must have been like 25 years old. Like, this fucking cunt. Yeah, yeah. Trying to show out,
Have you? Didn't you have a situation where you were somewhere getting pulled over, or and the police knew, or one of their kids knew who you were, or something?
No, but I was at a strip club once. Yeah. And the oldest, most hideous stripper there asked us what was up. I'm like, oh, we played a show down the street. She's like, oh, what band? And we told her. She's like, oh, my son's at that show. And she called him and gave me the phone.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, hey, I'm at work. Your mom's work. That was awkward.
Yeah.
The police story was somebody who knew us. That might happen. It doesn't ring any bells right now.
Right. Yeah. So there was a story, I think, of...
I think it was another border crossing.
Yeah, border crossing.
Winnipeg.
Yeah.
That's number 2 in one of my least favorite cities.
Yeah.
I think me and Trevor almost got jumped there once.
Yeah.
It's just... Shows are good, but it can be weird. But there was a girl on the bus, and I think she was doing something to someone in the back lounge, and the bus driver came and was like, yo, we got to go.
Right.
Maybe she's doing something to several people in the back lounge.
Right.
And she was on her way out. She threw up semen on the floor. I get another semen story, too. We might be confused. I'll get to that one next. Actually, the other one wasn't really my story to tell, but this one is.
Okay.
So she threw up like a white cloudy mess on the little kitchenette floor.
Yeah.
And she was kind of drunk and get her out of here, you know.
Right.
So we had to cross the border into the United States. So we're getting close to the border, and our tour manager, he picks up a purse.
Right.
And he's like, oh, she left her purse here. I was like, maybe that was why she was screaming running after the bus. Because like, this girl's crazy. She's running after the bus. So he just throws it in the trash. And we get to the border. And the U.S. Border Customs guys search the bus, and they look in the trash.
Right.
And they're taking a little while in there, a little longer than it should. I'm like, I'm starting to get nervous. And then they walk in with the purse.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck.
Right.
Like, what do they think happened?
Right.
And they're like, we can't let you go until we confirm that this person is alive and well. And I'm like, fuck, like, we're dead. Like, we're going to live at this border or to go to jail.
Right.
I think somebody who was with us had her number.
Yeah.
And so they called the girl. Somehow got a hold of her.
Yeah.
And they was like, can you just confirm your name and date of birth?
Right.
And she missed her date of birth by one day. So like he told us, like, I can't let you guys go until we confirm this. So they had to send Canadian mounted police.
Right.
In quotes. I don't know if they use that or not, but
right. Yeah.
So they had to go confirm that person was alive. Luckily, the guy was like, you guys can go to the bus and go to sleep, but you just can't roll until we get the green light.
Yeah.
But there was another semen throw-up story about a girl slipped on some frozen semen. Is that the one you were thinking of?
That's the one I was thinking of.
That was, I don't even want to name the band we're on tour with, but it happened on their bus.
Yeah.
And there was a girl, not a nice, or a very nice girl, depending on what I think about it.
Right.
It was in the UK, and she vomited outside of the bus door.
Yeah.
And the semen vomit had frozen over. And this was day one of the tour.
Right.
And one of the other band's guitar or drum techs came out and slipped and like broke his ankle on the frozen semen and had to go home.
Yeah. Oh man. That's any stories like that are always
definitely interesting.
They're definitely interesting.
None of my semen was in that puddle.
No, yeah.
I want to clarify.
No, I know. Did you ever have any sort of crazy fan stories, like people that were maybe being a little too?
There was a guy in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Nice enough guy.
Yeah.
Wasn't really creeped out, but I guess I was a little creeped out. A lot of times in the bigger European cities, the bus gets there and you have to get everything into the club, and then the bus goes far away.
Right.
So you don't have that for the day. You have to find something to do.
Right.
And it's always like 9 or 10 a.m.
Yeah.
So I get off the bus, like kind of sleepy with like a backpack.
Yeah.
And there's a guy out front with a T-shirt with my picture on it. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? It's like 10 in the morning, and why is there a picture of me on your shirt? Nice enough guy, though.
Right.
I think he was just kind of a super fan, but that was interesting. Or a guy in Sacramento had me sign his herniated testicle. And it was herniated. That where we played, it was like the venue had a parking lot had like a gate.
Yeah.
Like a 6-inch in between each bar.
Yeah, yeah.
And the guy's like, hey, sign my friend's nuts.
Yeah.
And he pulled out this cantaloupe
Right.
But it was his testicle, and he squoze it through the gate. And then I had a Sharpie. I was like, this is the weirdest thing ever. I hope he lived. It was like bad.
That was in France?
No, Sacramento.
Sacramento.
Yeah, Sacramento. Yeah. If you've ever been to Sacramento, the story is even more believable.
That's why they call it the Sac, I think. Do you have sort of a favorite place that you like to play?
I mean, definitely Southern California, just because it's awesome to be there.
Right.
Texas is cool. We always do good in Chicago.
Yeah.
It's always a fun city.
Yeah.
Lynn, Massachusetts, any chance we get?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you guys, the last time you played was I think after Chris died was the last?
Yeah, Lynn, that was the St. Michael's Hall show.
Yeah, that was a good time.
I mean, we played
Gasket reunion and
everyone was like, let's get the band back together, man.
That was a good time.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
Those are tough, though, like when you got to hang out with all your friends and get drunk and then play.
Yeah.
That's why I hate local shows. Like,
I think that's why Sean and I came up to see you guys in Schenectady.
Yeah.
You were like, if you come to a Boston one, I'm not even going to be able to, like, talk.
Yeah, you're way more, like, into the groove. Like, if I'm home, I'm probably just going to go home and then hang out and then go to the show. Or if I'm at the show, it's like, all my friends are there. Like, oh, let's party and have a good time. And then you have to do work.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, this sucks.
Yeah.
That happened. We just played Sinclair about a year ago.
Yeah.
And great. I love that venue. It's awesome. And, everybody came out. And I was like, I just want to hang out and party with you guys.
Yeah.
But it's like, I used to be able to get pretty drunk and play.
Right.
But now I can't.
No.
It's impossible.
Really?
It just, you can do it, but I get so weak.
Yeah.
Like my right hand just is fading.
Yeah.
Fading.
Just as you get older, you think?
Yeah.
So you guys do the beer funnel anymore?
Not anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, if one comes out, I'll do it. The problem with it was nobody would clean it.
Yeah.
And it would come out, it would taste like Chinese food.
Yeah.
And like, I can't do this anymore. It would just sit in a trailer.
Right. Just 100 Bud Lights. Just getting poured through that night.
It was fun, though.
Yeah,
we had these beer towers one night that we bought.
Yeah.
They're a popular item now at bars. You see them.
Yeah.
And we put them on the the two bass cabs that are on the either side of the drum riser. So you have the guitar cabs and then two bass cabs and then the other guitar cabs.
Yeah.
And then we had them backlit with like a can.
Yeah.
So when the intro rolled, you just see these like glistening towers of like beer.
Yeah.
That was my favorite production that we've ever done.
Yeah. I was very surprised you guys had never got sponsored by a beer company.
We tried to get OE to sponsor us.
Yeah.
We had a manager a long time ago, had an assistant.
Yeah.
His name was Anthony Martini.
Mm-hmm.
I think he works for some huge rapper now and does private jets. Is like so everybody who works for us always goes on to do way better things. But he sent a proposal to Old English.
Yeah.
About like a legit one about referencing Jägermeister because Jägermeister was like sponsoring a lot of metal bands and stuff. So you try to get OE onto it. Yeah. I think they're probably owned by Coors or Miller or whatever. Yeah. They're like, nah, we're good.
Right. Do you have any sponsorships? You have
as far as like
your like instruments and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's awesome because I get strings for free.
Yeah.
I get some amps for free. I get free guitars. You know who needs those things is like the band starting out who have nothing, and then like you get popular as a band. Well, I mean it's basically an ad.
Yeah.
You know, you're an ad for stuff, so companies will give you stuff. It's not as prolific as it used to be. There was a time where it was like there was a lot of companies and they were just like you just get tons of shit.
Yeah.
I think a lot of companies pulled back, or maybe it's because my band isn't as cool. But I like to think that the companies tighten the leash on that.
I remember coming to see you guys in Pomona, the Glass House. Is that Pomona, I think?
Yeah, Jaeger was out of that.
Yeah.
And I got an amp. They had a Jägermeister like PV amp with a Jaeger logo on it, and I got like a skateboard.
Huh. I remember Ken, like someone presented him like 3 shirts that like you have to wear one. So I don't remember the company, but it was I think maybe him and Trevor were wearing.
Oh yeah, there's always clothing companies. Yeah. Like because you want to get your shirt on somebody who might wear it on stage and they might say that's cool.
Yeah.
Jaeger was good. They did a lot for metal. Like they would sponsor tours.
Right.
I don't really like the beverage.
Right. Yeah.
But they were a fun company to work with.
Yeah. And so I guess closing out, you guys we're Metal Blade. So
we did Metal Blade, and then we went to E1
yeah.
for the last record, and then that contract's up, and we were about to sign with another company who I won't name, because if that deal goes sideways within the next week, then I'll sound stupid.
Yeah.
But another good company that we've worked with before.
Yeah, nice.
But Metal Blade was cool.
Yeah.
We did a few records with them. I think we just wanted to try something different.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But you try everything when your band isn't as popular as it once was. You're like, what do we do? You know?
Right. Well, that's cool. I'm glad to hear you guys are still kicking and doing it, and we look forward to hearing some new shit from you guys.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for doing this, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
awesome. Definitely.